So let's move into the first four most basic exercises, which we use very often to start learning. The first one, well, PACE is the acronym for these first four exercises. P for positive, A for activate, C for clear, and E for energy. But actually we do the exercises the other way round. We start with this one, the energy one, we then do clear, we then do activate, and we finish with positive. So it's pace yourself, but we're going to do it back to front. This is how it's recommended by the Brain Gym school. So in order to raise energy, both in the teacher and the students, the first thing that we absolutely have to do is give ourselves energy through water. So I've got my water with me. I hope you do too. And this was something I mentioned, I think, last week. We have to make sure that our students also have water always by their side on their desk, because this is the beginning of energy. We'll see why in a minute. So cheers. Hope you have your water with you too. If not, go and get one. It doesn't have to be in a beer glass. It can be in a water bottle, of course. Yani tabii ki hocam. Thank you for pointing out that detail. The next activity, which is going to clear the channels for learning, is brain buttons. This is one that we did together last week. If you remember, we have the middle finger just under the collarbone, the thumb under the other collarbone in that little space, turning round and round with the left hand on our tummy, just like that. Circulatory movements, again, do it a few circulations, and you will be opening up your channels for learning. Swap over, left hand, middle finger, thumb, circulating, massaging that soft spot under your collarbones. Again, will clear the channels of any stress, get your blood circulating, get it going up into the brain and clearing the roads for active learning. Moving now to the third activity, which is the activating both sides of the brain. This is the cross crawl. You can do it standing up, you can do it sitting down. I'm going to do it sitting down. You can do it sitting down too, or you can do it standing up. If you would like to stand up, you need to stand up. As we know, it's important, so it's up to you. Right hand, touch your left knee. Left hand, touch your right knee. And just do that a few times. Left hand to the right knee, right hand to the left knee. A few of those. That's called the cross crawl. It can be done sitting down. It can be done standing up. It may seem like a very simple exercise, but it is doing something to coordinate the two sides of the brain. And finally, we're going to do the last activity. This is the making us feel positive. So for this one, hookups, we're going to hook our hands. So if you put the backs of your hands together first, then move them so that they are face to face, and clasp your hands together like that. And then very slowly move them down and up again, and move your shoulders down and relax. And then, as we talked about last week, breathe through your nose. Deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And then if you'd like to do that again with the other hand the other way, so this time you can move your left hand to face your right hand, clasp your hands together, down, round, up inside, shoulders down, and 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and down through the mouth. Okay. For those of you who did do those exercises, the water activates the brain for efficient action between the brain and the nervous system. It also helps us to store information efficiently and also find and retrieve that information efficiently. So it's a very important thing. The cross trawl that we did, left hand on right knee, right hand on left knee, whether sitting or standing, improves academic skills. Apparently it helps with spelling because it will involve both the left brain and the right brain, writing, listening, reading and comprehension. So very good to do before you do any of that with your learners. The brain buttons exercise that we did, massaging this section, improves academic skills. For example, it helps students who have dyslexia with the correction of letter and number reversals, and it also helps us to keep our place when we are reading. It also has a lot of other very, very important functions. It stimulates the flow of the blood through the carotid artery into the brain. And the hookups that we did just now, like this, improve academic skills in terms of clear listening, clear speaking, test taking, so very, very good just before a test. The breathing also helps with calming down stress work, so very good before a test, and also very good if you're working at the keyboard, as many of us have been doing recently. So those are the first 4 basic steps of Brain Gym, and I just wonder, do you feel a little bit more relaxed? Do you feel more stressed? Do you feel better? Or do you feel worse? Oh, we've got 1s, 2s, 4s, 2s, 3s, 1s, 2s. Excellent, excellent, excellent, excellent. So you saw, you can feel a difference, hopefully. Whether you believe it or not, these exercises often work to get the students, the pupils, working together, listening to your instructions, following your instructions, and it will very often calm them down, control them, especially if they're very, very high when they come in. And it will also stimulate them if they come in feeling very tired, drowsy, and very low. So I'm glad that you're all feeling focused and feeling much more relaxed if you weren't before. Okay, so we looked at that one. Another 2 activities. Some of you say we do all these, so I won't spend too long on them. Activities to focus, to calm, or to animate. We've done the first 4 steps of Brain Gym. If you want to go and find out more exercises, there are another 22 of them available online. You can find them on the Brain Gym website. But other exercises very often are to do with Something personal, a little bit challenging, medium challenge. So for example, I'm going to tell you 2 things about myself which are true. Students are often interested in their teacher, and other teachers are often interested in their trainers too. So this is something you might not know about me. So 2 of these things about me when I was a child are true, and 1 is false, and I want you to just guess which one you think is the lie, which is not true. I can do this as a dictation, so I would dictate it to my students. They would have to write it down, and then they would have to think about which one is the lie. I'm not asking you to write them down, just which one you think is the lie. Okay, so you think 3, a lot of people are saying 3 is false, 3 is not true, 3 is the lie. Okay, you'll notice also that I might use this at the beginning of a lesson where I'm going to teach the grammatical form used to. So I can use this at the beginning of different lessons where I'm going to teach different grammatical items, and I can use that particular grammatical item. So it could be I will, or I have been to, or I love blah blah blah ing. Whatever I'm going to be focusing on that day, I will bring in something personal, which the students might think, yay, you're going to learn a bit more about our teacher. And a lot of you guessed correctly, I didn't used to play computer games. That's the lie. And you're probably right. In my day, when I was a little girl, we didn't have computers. That's why I didn't used to play computer games, but I'm making up for it now. Another way I would start a lesson very often, again, personal, find out more about me, and then ask the students to do the same and find out more about each other. Again, practicing the grammatical form that we're going to do in that lesson. So it's a nice way in to introduce that, is ask them to write down what is true for them. So I would dictate the first sentence and say, I am a single mum, and the student has to write down, I am a single boy or girl, but not a mum, inshallah, unless you're teaching adults. The next sentence, all of these are true for me. I don't own a house or a flat. If it's true for you, you write the same thing. If it's different for you, you write, I do own a house, or I do own a flat, or I own a tent. I hate getting up early in the morning. This is absolutely true. If you are the same, yeah, that's a nice one, İlkay Polat. I am a single child. That's a nice one that they could write down, which is true for them. I hate going to bed early. For example, this is true for me. Savaş says, I hate going to bed early, so it's obviously true for you. If it's not true for you, I love going to bed early, then they would write that. And this is true also for me. I love cats, teaching, Pringles, and YouTube, and the sky's the limit. The students can write down, yep. So that's right. So those are the sort of things that hopefully your students will also write. Hopefully they'll all be true for them, and hopefully people like talking about themselves, so it's going to wake them up a little bit. So just 2 little starters there, plus the brain gym. Looking now at some stirrers. Again, I mentioned at some point the importance of emotion. We talked about the facilitator, teacher as facilitator, needs to work on the emotions first. And one of the reasons is that all information comes in and goes straight to the limbic system, which is the emotional center, and the emotional center, the limbic center, then sends it to the frontal cortex where it is processed here. So it all passes through here. And if information is coming in and the student is feeling bad, then it's probably not going to go out. It's probably just going to disappear. It's very close, the limbic system, to the memory. So if they're feeling bad while you're teaching something, then they're going to remember feeling bad, and they're not going to remember anything about what you were teaching them. But if they're feeling good, if they're feeling excited, if they're feeling interested, this is going to create a lot of dopamine. And dopamine is like a cement, it's like a beton, and it cements everything they learn in their long-term memory on the right side of the brain. So emotion, good emotion, creates dopamine. Dopamine helps us remember long-term. So this is a very important thing that we need to work on as teachers. We need to think in our lesson plan, how am I going to excite emotion? How am I going to get the dopamine going in my English language class? And the two exercises we've just done are making it personal, so the student can say, just like me, and sometimes by exciting them, by making them go, wow, oh-ha, no way. Sometimes competition, as a lot of experienced teachers know, sometimes guessing and finding the answers for themselves, sometimes surprising them with something totally unexpected, humor, experimentation, letting them try something for themselves, rewarding them for their hard work, positive engagement, that feeling of flow where they don't see the time passing by, and doing and moving. All of these are going to excite and stir and produce dopamine and help long-term retention. This is one example with younger kids that we can do. We used to teach, what is it? What is it? It's a pen. Now we do much more interesting things. We show them, for example, pictures of animal skin or feathers or scales, and we ask them to guess. And this is great with young kids. They've got this natural curiosity. They love to guess. What is it? What's the animal, or the bird, or the reptile? Yeah, so that's that natural curiosity. So give them a puzzle to do. For example, if you've got some pictures, just cover them up with a piece of paper with a shape, and get them to guess. This is, again, under the same topic of animals. Here we have 3 pictures of dangerous animals, animals which are dangerous to us, and ask kids to guess. What are the 3 animals behind the shapes? I don't know if you can guess what number 1, number 2, or number 3 are. The rectangle. What's in the rectangle, do you think? What kind of animal that's dangerous to human beings is behind there? Any ideas? Okay, somebody says it could be a shark. Okay, what about this second one? This is going to be more difficult. It could be a whale in number 1. Yeah, it could be a lion in number 2, or a bear. That's right. Yeah, or a dog. And in number 3, any ideas? It could be an eagle, I suppose. And the last one, this is very difficult, but I do remember once doing it. One of the teachers had her little 4-year-old son sitting next to her. We had 200 teachers in the auditorium. None of the teachers could work it out. They said, we don't know. We can't possibly guess the animal in the triangle. And the little boy looked at the details very, very carefully, the little 4-year-old, and he got the answer right. And he said, it's a monkey, a gorilla, Planet of the Apes. And yeah, that's a surprise usually to everybody. We expect lions, bears, tigers, but we don't often know that hippos are very, very dangerous animals for human beings. And you can see there's one very angry hippo there. And this one, yes, is the easier. So this is the least challenging. This is the small challenge. This is a medium challenge, and this is the real high challenge. And if students can actually get all of those, we should be getting them up to nice. Guessing it correctly is the reward in itself. Also, experiments. For example, here you'll see they're actually practicing the first conditional. So what happens when you, or what happens if you, or if you put a banana in the fridge, what will happen? If you put a banana in the fridge, it will become shiny, it will turn yellow, it will explode. Kids are encouraged to try these, maybe if not at school, then at home, try them out. And so by trying out these little experiments, they will be able to complete the sentences which are practicing the first conditional at the same time. And kids do love experimenting. Here we have another stirrer, which is using the buzzers. So what I would normally do in a class is each row of students, one student at the front would have one of these. Another student at the front of the next row would have another one. So depending on how many rows you have, each student could have one of these, and then they take it in turns, and they're competing with each other. So for example, I don't go by or take car to work. Which one is it? The first student to ring the buzzer gets a point for all the other students in his row, his team in other words. Now when we come back to school, maybe we won't be able to everybody touching the same object, but we could get students, each student could have their own buzzer. It could be a little tambourine like this, it could be a little maraca like this, it could be a noisemaker. If every student has one of those, we can say, okay, now it's your turn, now it's your turn, and all have, you know, two teams or 3 teams or 4 teams competing to find the right answer. We can do this with vocabulary, we can do it with grammar, as you can see here. If you're in a storm, you should or shouldn't. Again, you can do it like the TV quiz show. You can do it with fill in the blanks, you can do it with true, false. You can make any kind of boring activity where the students are into a stirring activity by making it a competition using buzzers. Okay, and then at the end of the lesson, obviously once you've got them all excited, you need to settle them. Students all need a little bit of quiet time, a bit of emotional relief, reflection time, opportunity to hear themselves think. So again, dictation, if we do a slightly longer dictation, that can calm them down, and also a few more activities. So if we look at those, this is where you can dictate any of the words that they've been learning over the lesson. You can dictate them to them, and they put them into one of 3 columns. When they hear the word, for example, if I say the word water, is your first thing, the first reaction, can you see that water when I say water, or can you hear water when I say, or can you taste it, can you feel it? And if you can see it and hear it and feel it, you write it 3 times. If you can see it, you write it here. If you can hear the sound of water, you write it here. If you can feel it, taste it, smell it, you write it here. So that's, you can dictate all the letters, all the words you've studied in your lesson, and students can categorize them according to whether they hear them or see them or feel them. That's a nice settling activity. Another settling activity could be, again, if they've been studying food, asking them to copy all the new words about food into two categories, maybe healthy food and unhealthy food, or hot food and cold food, fruit and vegetables, food I like, food I don't like. If they've been studying animals, we could get them to copy the words into, again, two categories: animals with fur, animals with scales, animals with big ears, animals with a tail, and so on and so on. This can be done at any level. It can be done with older students too. It can be done with teenagers. It can be done with very young learners as well, depending on the categories. You can have two categories. You can even have more than two categories. So copying and categorizing is a settling activity. This is a very nice activity after story time, which is quite exciting, to get students to maybe draw their favorite character or their favorite scene or part of the story, and then hang them up on the washing line in the classroom or at home, if they could do it at home, and have a little clothesline where they hang their pictures up, and this is a quiet time while they are drawing and thinking, and maybe then retelling the story using the pictures on the little washing line. And for slightly older learners, this is there are many cartoon making apps online. This one, www.pixton.com. I prepared this cartoon yesterday in 10 minutes. There's my avatar. You can get your class enrolled as a class. You can invite them. You can send them a join invitation, and they can work individually or they can work in groups online. They create, they choose the background, they choose the character, they work on the story, they create the story they want. They have to write things in the thinking bubble, in the writing bubble, and this is something which is, it's settling it. They concentrate very hard when they're doing it. There's total silence if they do it in class. They can do it at home as well. It's a settling, focusing activity, and students love doing this. And then finally, good old bingo. And do-it-yourself bingo is really nice. For example, just ask students to draw 2 lines down and 3 lines across, and they have a bingo card, and then choose. You can do this if you want to. If you have time, on a piece of paper, you can just very quickly draw 2 by 2. So you have 6 squares. You can choose any of these words, which I'm going to, in a minute, I'm going to read a conclusion of today's presentation, and some of these words are going to come up. So you can choose any of these words. You can choose either 3 or 6 or 9 of these words, and then when we read it, if you hear any of the words that you've got on in your squares, you cross it out, and if you get all of your words, then you can write bingo or shout bingo. I know that you're very familiar with this. Let's see if anybody gets a bingo. So to conclude, we teachers as facilitators need to predict the social, the psychological, the physiological, and the cerebral problems that students may be having when they come to class, and we need to plan for them. We need to vary our methodology according to learners' energy levels. We need to provide a balanced menu, so every lesson really should have a starter, some stirrers, and 1 or 2 settlers. It's advised to use humanistic activities which talk about ourselves and our feelings. maximum opportunity for cooperation as well as competition. Competition is going to get that brain working. And finally, we need to accept and discuss with our students their different biorhythms. So let's talk about it with our students. Let's talk about their different biorhythms, and then do something about it, actually plan for it, if possible. I haven't seen any bingos being called out, so presumably I didn't give you enough time for that, but that's a very simple way to set up a bingo at the end of a lesson. Hope that was useful to remember, review, and happy planning in the future. Thank you all for being here with me. If you have any questions, please type them in now, and I'll try to answer any I can. Thank you.